Hill House is not just a house, it's a prison. From the moment you step inside, the very air seems to shift, thickening with a weight that presses down on your chest, making every breath harder to draw. The walls, though old and crumbling, do not offer the comfort of age or history. Instead, they seem alive, watching, waiting, bending the reality around you like a dark mirror, reflecting not what is, but what you fear most. The first thing visitors notice is how the house refuses to stay still. Rooms shift. Hallways that led one way suddenly twist into dead ends or lead you back to where you started. The layout is a cruel puzzle designed to trap. Doors that were once open slam shut without warning. Staircases appear to grow longer or collapse entirely beneath your feet. The architecture defies logic, as if the house exists on a different plane where time and space unravel. Within Hill House, your senses betray you. The light coming through the windows flickers unnaturally, casting shadows that don't belong. Sounds echo strangely. Footsteps behind you, whispers just out of reach. But when you turn around, there's nothing there. Your eyes catch glimpses of movement in the corner of your vision, only for it to vanish when you try to focus. It's a place where what you see and hear cannot be trusted. Your mind struggles to make sense of the impossible, and that struggle slowly erodes your grip on reality. The house doesn't just confuse the physical world, it distorts your perception of time. Hours can pass like minutes, and minutes stretch into agonizing eternity. Sometimes you feel as if you've been trapped inside for days, yet the sun outside remains fixed in the same position. Memories begin to blur, the past and present colliding in an indistinguishable haze. You question what is real, what is imagined, and what the house wants you to believe. More than that, Hill House seems to reach inside your mind and twist your thoughts. It preys on your insecurities, your regrets, your darkest fears. The house molds itself to your inner demons, manifesting them in the shadows around you. The haunting becomes deeply personal, a cruel reflection of your own psyche. It's not merely a haunted house. It's a living nightmare that invades your mind and soul. Visitors often report seeing rooms that resemble places from their past, a childhood bedroom, a lost love's face in a cracked mirror, or a long-forgotten sorrow creeping out from the walls. The house reaches into memories, dredging up pain and despair, wrapping them in cold, suffocating darkness. These visions are so vivid that you begin to question whether you are haunted by ghosts or by your own broken mind. The longer you stay inside Hill House, the more you feel its grip tighten. The walls close in, the air grows colder, and your sense of self begins to slip away. The house becomes your captor, a merciless entity that feeds on confusion and fear. There is no escape, because the house is not just a place, it's a state of being, a twisted reality where logic dissolves and nightmares become tangible. Some say the house itself is alive, an ancient, malevolent force that has existed long before the first stone was laid. It waits patiently, gathering strength from the suffering it causes. It doesn't just want to trap your body, it wants to trap your mind, your very essence. To be inside Hill House is to be caught in a liminal space, suspended between the known world and something far darker, where the rules no longer apply and the only certainty is that you will never be the same again. No one who enters Hill House walks away untouched. The house distorts reality, not just to frighten, but to consume. It fractures the mind until sanity slips through your fingers like smoke. It traps you in a maze, not only of walls and hallways, but of memories, fears, and despair. Hill House is a place that does not simply exist. It haunts, it traps, it changes you in ways you cannot escape or undo. Hill House is not just haunted by spirits, it is haunted by emotions. It is a place that feeds, slowly and deliberately, on the darkest parts of the human heart: fear, guilt, and loneliness. These aren't just feelings visitors bring with them, they are the very essence that the house craves, weaving them into its shadows until they become indistinguishable from the walls themselves. Fear is the house's first and most powerful weapon. It creeps in unseen, like a poison seeping into the bloodstream. Every creak and groan of the old house becomes a threat. The flicker of candlelight casts monstrous shapes that dance just beyond the edge of vision. A sudden chill isn't just cold air, it's the house whispering warnings, reminding you are not safe here. Fear twists and stretches your imagination until every harmless sound is the footstep of something sinister. Every shadow hides a lurking presence. Hill House knows your fears better than you do, and it uses them like weapons, sharp and precise, to break down your resolve. But fear alone isn't enough. The house also preys on guilt, the quiet, gnawing kind that lives deep in the corners of your mind. Hill House digs into your memories and drags out things you wish you could forget. Past mistakes, regrets, failures. These are not left behind when you cross the threshold. Instead, they are magnified, woven into illusions so vivid they feel real. The house shows you visions of what you lost or what you could never fix, echoing your own self-loathing back at you. It mocks your attempts to escape it, reminding you over and over of your failings, your betrayals, your broken promises. In Hill House, guilt becomes a living entity, stalking you silently, suffocating you with its weight. Loneliness is the third and most insidious prey. Even if you come with others, the house isolates you, turns you inward. It fills the space around you with an unbearable emptiness. The silence inside Hill House is deafening, a void that echoes the absence of human warmth. Friends disappear, voices fade, and you are left utterly alone with the creeping shadows. The house wants you to feel that crushing solitude, to believe that no one will come to save you. This loneliness gnaws at your sanity, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. It pushes you to the edge, where desperation turns to terror and the will to fight slips away. Hill House is a master of manipulation. It senses what you fear most, what you regret deepest, and how utterly isolated you feel. It then warps its haunted corridors to trap those emotions inside you, making them impossible to escape. The house becomes a mirror reflecting your darkest truths, but twisted in a way that makes them impossible to deny or outrun. It uses your pain against you, building an invisible prison where the only cell walls are your own doubts and despair. It isn't just random hauntings or ghostly apparitions. Here, the terror is tailored. One person might be haunted by a spectre that takes the form of a lost loved one, reminding them of grief they never healed from. Another might hear whispered accusations echoing their own self-hate. Someone else might feel cold hands grasping at their heart, dragging them deeper into isolation. Hill House doesn't just scare you, it breaks you down emotionally, piece by piece. The longer you stay, the more these feelings intensify. Fear escalates into paranoia, guilt into self-loathing so deep it feels like a physical wound, and loneliness into a void so vast it seems endless. The house waits for these emotions to consume you because that is how it traps souls, not through physical chains, but by binding minds and hearts with invisible threads woven from despair and terror. Hill House feeds on human suffering, growing, stronger with every tear shed, every scream stifled, every broken hope. The house's hunger is endless, its appetite for pain insatiable. Those who enter carry with them their fears, their secrets, their loneliness, and the house twists those gifts into chains that bind tighter with every passing moment. It's not just the ghosts you should fear, it's what the house will do to you long before it ever reveals its true horrors. Hill House is more than just a building. It is a crossroads, a thin veil separating the living from the dead. Within its walls dwell restless spirits, souls caught in a limbo they cannot escape. These ghosts are not mere echoes or fading memories. They are trapped, tethered to the house by forces older and darker than anyone can truly understand. They wander endlessly through the shadowed halls, caught between the world of the living and the unknown beyond death, forever lost in a place where time has no meaning. The spirits of Hill House are as varied as the lives they once led. Some are anguished and angry, their cries piercing the silence in the dead of night. Others are silent, watching from the shadows with hollow eyes that reflect a sorrow too deep for words. They do not pass on because something binds them here, a torment, a secret, or a curse that keeps them chained to the house. They move like shadows, fleeting and intangible, yet their presence is undeniable to those sensitive enough to perceive it. These ghosts are not always violent or malevolent, but their presence is unsettling in its permanence. They haunt every room, lingering in doorways, behind broken windows, in the cold drafts that sweep through the corridors. Sometimes their stories can be glimpsed in the faded photographs left behind, or in the whispered names heard on the wind. They seem to replay moments from their past lives over and over, caught in a loop of pain and regret. They are reminders of the house's long and tragic history, manifestations of the suffering that once filled these rooms. The restless spirits often communicate in subtle, eerie ways. Doors slam shut without cause. Objects move on their own, as if pushed by invisible hands. Soft footsteps echo down empty halls, or faint voices murmur in the silence. Occasionally, a spirit may reveal itself more fully. A shadowy figure glimpsed in the corner of your eye, a pale face staring from a cracked mirror or a cold hand brushing against your skin. These encounters are unpredictable, yet each one carries the weight of desperation and longing. What keeps these souls trapped is a mystery woven into the very fabric of Hill House. Some say the house itself is alive, a sentient entity that holds on to those who enter. Others believe a terrible event, a murder, a betrayal, or a curse, sealed their fates and doomed them to remain. Whatever the cause, these spirits are caught in a state of unrest, unable to move on because their unfinished business is tied to the house's dark past. This state of being trapped between worlds takes a toll, not only on the spirits, but also on the living who encounter them. The line between life and death blurs, creating a space where reality twists and distorts. The presence of the dead seeps into the minds of visitors, warping their perceptions and unraveling their sanity. Some who stay too long find themselves hearing the voices of the lost, seeing visions of the past, or even feeling the cold touch of a ghostly hand. The spirits do not always mean harm, but their sorrow and confusion can be overwhelming, dragging the living deeper into the house's dark grip. The restless dead of Hill House are also a warning. They remind all who enter that death here is not an end, but a continuation of suffering. They are echoes of pain that refuse to fade, voices crying out from the shadows for release or revenge. These spirits are the house's prisoners, bound by chains unseen, forever walking the halls they once called home. Their presence is a constant chilling reminder that Hill House is no ordinary place, but a threshold to something far darker and more terrifying than mere ghosts. Hill House is infamous for its shifting architecture, a labyrinthine nightmare that defies logic and reason. The very structure of the house seems unstable, not in the way of crumbling bricks or sagging beams, but in a more sinister, supernatural way. Rooms move, walls breathe, and hallways twist and turn, making it nearly impossible for anyone inside to find a consistent path. Visitors often describe feeling trapped in a maze where the layout changes with every step, and the exit they saw moments before disappears into thin air. When you first enter Hill House, the interior may seem normal enough, grand, old, and worn by time. But as you explore deeper, the house reveals its true nature. Doors that should open remain locked, while others suddenly swing open on their own. Staircases that led upstairs may now descend downward, and corridors that appeared short stretch on endlessly. Sometimes you find yourself back where you started, despite walking straight ahead for what feels like hours. This disorientation is not accidental, but a deliberate design of the house to confuse and ensnare. The walls themselves seem to pulse and warp subtly, as if alive. Their angles shift ever so slightly, throwing off your balance and your sense of direction. Ceilings may lower unexpectedly, making you feel suffocated, or open up into dark voids that swallow sound. Windows show glimpses of the outside world, but what you see through them can change inexplicably. A sunny day turns into a stormy night. A peaceful garden becomes an overgrown, twisted wasteland. The house plays with perception, warping the environment so that you can no longer trust your own senses. Some rooms have been known to disappear entirely, closing off parts of the house as if they never existed. Others appear suddenly, revealing spaces that no one remembers building or exploring before. These phantom rooms may contain eerie furniture covered in dust, or objects left as if the previous occupants had just vanished moments ago. These shifts cause a deep unease, a feeling that the house is alive and watching, rearranging itself to trap its inhabitants deeper within its grasp. The floor beneath your feet can betray you as well. Uneven boards creak and shift, making each step uncertain. In some parts of the house, the floor seems to slope impossibly, tilting in ways that defy gravity. Visitors report feeling like they are walking uphill when they are actually moving sideways, or that the ground beneath them is moving like the waves of an ocean. This distortion adds to the overwhelming confusion and dread, breaking down the mind's ability to map the space. Hallways are particularly treacherous. Narrow corridors may stretch endlessly, leading nowhere but deeper into the heart of the house. At times, you may walk through a hallway, only to find it blocked by a solid wall where a door once stood. Other times, the walls themselves seem to close in, the space narrowing until you feel crushed. The house toys with its inhabitants, changing the dimensions of its passageways to keep them lost and desperate. Even the most familiar parts of Hill House become unfamiliar and threatening. A staircase that once seemed safe to climb can suddenly become dangerous, with missing steps or railings that disappear into darkness. Doors that once opened to friendly rooms may now open to cold, empty spaces or dead ends. The constant, unpredictable changes ensure that no one inside ever feels secure or in control. These physical changes are not random. They are the house's way of exerting control, of breaking down resistance. Each shift, each alteration, is a step toward trapping the visitor inside. As confusion grows, fear takes hold, and the mind begins to unravel. When you no longer trust the place you are in, when every direction seems wrong, the house gains power over you. It is a prison where the bars are made of shifting walls and impossible hallways. The architecture of Hill House is a weapon, a living trap designed to ensnare souls and feed on their despair. Visitors who try to escape find themselves caught in a never-ending maze, doomed to wander endlessly through corridors that rearrange themselves, searching for a door that will never open. Surviving Hill House is not the end of the nightmare. It is only the beginning of a far darker ordeal. The house's grasp extends beyond its physical walls, seeping into the minds of those who have lived through its horrors. Those who escape carry with them invisible scars, a lingering psychological torment that haunts their waking hours and invades their dreams. The terror they experienced inside Hill House does not stay confined to that space. It follows them, shaping their thoughts, emotions, and even their sense of reality long after they have left. The survivors often find themselves trapped in a cycle of anxiety and paranoia. Everyday sounds, creaking floors, a sudden draft, or a shadow passing in the corner of the eye trigger panic, memories of the house's oppressive atmosphere flooding back. Even in the safety of familiar places, their minds replay the horrors they endured. Sleep becomes elusive, plagued by nightmares so vivid they feel as real as waking life. These dreams are not simple recollections, but twisted reenactments, where the house's dark presence lurks in every corner, threatening to pull them back into its maze. Many survivors report feeling isolated, unable to explain their trauma to others who have not experienced the house. Friends and family may dismiss their fears as overactive imaginations or stress, deepening the survivor's sense of loneliness. The house's psychological grip feeds on this isolation, wrapping it around their minds like a suffocating fog. This loneliness becomes a fertile ground for fear and despair, and survivors often find themselves withdrawing from those who care about them, convinced that no one can truly understand what they went through. Guilt is another relentless tormentor. Survivors sometimes blame themselves for what happened inside the house, believing they could have done more to save others or escape sooner. They carry a heavy burden of responsibility for the tragedies connected to Hill House, real or imagined. This guilt gnaws at their self-worth, making it difficult to find peace or forgiveness. The house seems to follow them with a silent accusation, a reminder that the past cannot be escaped or erased. The psychological effects extend to more profound disturbances in perception and cognition. Some survivors experience hallucinations or unexplained sensory phenomena long after leaving. They might see fleeting shadows, hear whispers in empty rooms, or feel cold touches on their skin. These experiences blur the line between reality and delusion, leaving survivors questioning their own sanity. In extreme cases, the trauma fractures their sense of self, leading to dissociation or episodes of intense fear and confusion. The house's influence also manifests in an overwhelming sense of dread, a constant feeling that something terrible is lurking just out of sight. This pervasive unease colors every aspect of their lives, making even ordinary moments feel charged with unseen menace. Survivors may avoid certain places, times of day, or situations that remind them of Hill House, altering their routines to try to keep the darkness at bay. Yet, no matter how far they run, or how much they try to forget, the memory of the house remains etched deep within their minds. Many who survive Hill House find themselves haunted by unanswered questions about what truly happened inside, about the nature of the house itself, and about their own experiences. This uncertainty adds to the psychological torment, as the unknown fuels fear and obsession. The house's mysteries become an obsession, a dark puzzle that survivors feel compelled to solve despite the cost to their mental health. The impact of Hill House on survivors is not only psychological, but can also affect relationships and daily functioning. The trauma can lead to withdrawal, mistrust, and difficulty forming or maintaining connections. Survivors may struggle with depression, anxiety disorders, or post-traumatic stress, all symptoms of the deep wounds left by their time in the house. Their lives are forever altered, shaped by an experience that defies normal understanding and refuses to release its grip. Survivors often speak of feeling as though a part of them remains trapped inside Hill House. The house has marked them, imprinted itself on their souls. It is a shadow that follows them through every moment, a silent companion in the darkest corners of their minds. This psychological torment becomes a second haunting, one that no exorcism or escape can end. Hill House's terror has endured for decades, not simply because of the ghosts that haunt its halls or the physical dangers it presents, but because of the deep and lasting legacy it has left on those who encounter it, and on the culture that tells its story. Its horror remains timeless because it touches on universal fears: fear of the unknown, fear of isolation, fear of the self, and these fears never grow old or lose their power. The house exists not just as a location, but as a symbol, a manifestation of the darkest corners of human experience that resonate across generations. The legacy of Hill House is one of tragedy, mystery, and enduring fascination. Stories of the house's strange occurrences and the disappearances of those who enter have been passed down like cautionary tales. This oral history adds layers to the house's myth, fueling the imaginations of those who hear it and perpetuating its legend. Each retelling adds new details, new interpretations, and new terrors, making Hill House not just a place but a living story that evolves and adapts with time. Part of what makes Hill House's horror so lasting is its ambiguity. The house itself is never fully understood, and this uncertainty leaves room for endless speculation. Is the house truly alive? Are the spirits trapped there real or manifestations of the mind? Does the house prey on its victims' fears and guilt? Or is it a neutral place that reflects what's already inside? The answers remain elusive, and this open-ended mystery invites new generations to explore the terror for themselves, filling in the gaps with their own fears and imaginations. Hill House's horror is also timeless because it connects deeply with human psychology. It explores themes of family, trauma, and mental illness in a way that feels real and personal. The house does not just scare with ghosts or monsters, but with the very real emotional and psychological pain of its characters. This blend of supernatural and psychological horror creates a haunting that is both terrifying and relatable. People see their own struggles reflected in the characters' experiences, making the fear hit closer to home. The influence of Hill House extends far beyond the walls of the physical structure. It has inspired countless adaptations in literature, film, and television, each adding new dimensions to the story while keeping its core essence intact. These retellings ensure that Hill House remains part of the cultural conversation, continually, renewed and rediscovered by new audiences. Each adaptation brings the house's horrors into contemporary contexts, proving that its themes are not confined to a particular time or place. The house's legacy also lies in its exploration of isolation and loneliness, feelings that are inherently human and eternal. Hill House magnifies these emotions until they become overwhelming, turning loneliness into terror and isolation into madness. This emotional core is something everyone can understand, which is why the house's horror remains relatable regardless of changing cultural landscapes or evolving horror trends. It is a story about what happens when we are cut off from others and left alone with our darkest fears. Moreover, Hill House is a cautionary tale about the consequences of confronting the unknown. It warns that some doors, once opened, cannot be closed, and that some secrets carry a price too high to pay. This timeless message resonates with anyone who has faced fear, loss, or the darker aspects of human nature. It speaks to the fragile boundary between safety and danger, sanity and madness, life and death. Boundaries that are as relevant today as they were when the house first whispered its terrors. The house's physical presence may one day crumble or be forgotten, but its impact will not fade. Its horrors have seeped into the collective consciousness, a shadow cast over the genre of haunted houses and psychological thrillers. Hill House has become a benchmark for what a haunted house story can be: complex, terrifying, and profoundly human. It stands as a reminder that the most enduring horrors are those that tap into something deeper than ghosts or monsters, the fears that live inside us all. Through all its manifestations and retellings, Hill House remains a place where the past refuses to die, where the boundary between reality and nightmare is blurred, and where the human spirit is tested against the darkness. Its legacy is a haunting echo through time, a story that refuses to end, drawing each new generation into its chilling embrace.